5:22, headed to El Campo, to the indoor swimming pool. We're in the middle of week 9 until the Ironman started 11 months ago, and here we are, 9 weeks left. So I feel pretty good. Obviously a little nervous, never done anything like this before. Going between swimming and biking and running every day, typically doing 2 of the 3 each day. So today is my day to drive to the pool. As I get closer to the event, I do have a little bit of the anxious side of doing something crazy, like 2.4 mile swim, 112 mile bike, and 26.2 mile run. Yeah, it's been quite the journey, physically, mentally, spiritually, but it's been good. The physical side is definitely starting to take a toll. 2-3 hours workouts during the week sometimes, and then 4 and 5 hours on the weekends. But I'm prepared. I feel good. I've done everything that all the training is required to do. So I decided to do the Ironman in late 2025. I was getting ready to set my goals for the year. I typically set one goal for each of 12 different areas in life, and when it got to the physical goal, I attempted a half marathon. Actually, I finished it, but I did mostly walking, and that's the first time I've ever done anything of any endurance or anything in that realm, and I didn't do well at it, but I did start training for that. It took me 2 or 3 months, and it was 13.1 miles, and I ran probably, 4 miles out of it max, and the rest was walking. So I did finish it, but didn't run near as much as I wanted to. So that's literally the depth of any endurance or any distance or anything I've done physically. And I was 49, gonna turn 50 this year, and I'd been 400 pounds at my heaviest. I was down to been 300 pounds for the last 8 or 9 years, and I knew I needed to do something to lose weight, and I knew my self-image was the issue. It's something that held me back in business, in just every area of my life. It's my health has been one area that it was one that I've had success in a lot of areas of my life, and my health journey was not one of them. So as I got ready to make goals, I thought, you know what, I should just do the biggest, baddest, hardest thing in the world. And if it took me a year to do it, I definitely get health benefits out of it, but then it also, in my mind, I thought it would help take care of the self-image issue. So that was in the back of my mind. So I thought, that's a crazy, crazy goal, but, let's see. So then, fast forward, got ready to go, went to an event, First Steps to Success, and I was challenged in the middle of that event to go to the back of the room and write on this huge board, piece of paper, what your crazy goal is, which was hard enough. And then also she challenged us to take a picture of it and post it on social media. And I was like, oh my goodness, I had this pit in my stomach. Like, there's no way, because I knew if I did it, there's a certain level of accountability in that. So I said, screw it. Probably the first post I'd done, and maybe that year, at that point, I literally had to go through with it. Some of the things that went in the back of my mind as I was getting ready to set that goal is, yes, I knew it would help on the self-image and my health journey and help me get healthy. There's no way, in my mind, there's no way you can train for an Ironman and complete an Ironman and not be healthier. I mean, it's just physically impossible. The other thing that went through, my dad had passed a year and a half or so before that, and I just figured doing the training, anytime I'm doing any type of fitness, it's the one time my brain shuts off from business and strategy and all the other things that an entrepreneur thinks about, and it's some twisted way, it's some form of meditation. So I knew that would help a little bit. I hadn't grieved fully for Dad passing, and I knew that'd be a positive. And then the last thing was 18 years ago when I started. I was broke as a joke. I could not pay my bills. My parents were having to help support me by my Christmas presents, keep the lights on. And obviously from there I've had some success in business and all sorts of areas of my life. But I wanted my grandkids to know that their pop was a badass. And so I figured if I can do this, then no matter what, they're going to know that their pop was a badass. So those three things were what went through my mind. And then when I wrote that, went to the back of that room in that seminar, wrote it down and took a selfie of it. I was like, screw it, I've done it now. So now I got to figure out how to get there. And it's like I learned through that seminar how to achieve goals. You write down your big goal for the year. You break it down into bite-sized chunks, and from quarterly goals to monthly goals to weekly to-dos. And I didn't focus. Finishing the Ironman was way overwhelming. But the first thing I did, because it says a man without a vision will perish, is I knew I needed to build that vision, and psychologically I had to run that race 1,000 times. That way, when I actually did it, it'd be almost like deja vu. So I went and just started. Before I started looking at the strategy, I couldn't swim more than 5 or so feet. I mean, I'm an adult. I don't go swimming for fun. So I knew there's so many things I had to figure out. But I didn't even focus on that the first couple weeks. I literally just went on YouTube and watched every documentary on Ironman, every story I could find, anything that had to do with someone finishing an Ironman, what their revelations they got out of it, what they learned from it, just to build my vision. And watching hours and hours and hours of that built my vision. And so yeah, that was step one. And then from there, swimming was the hardest part. Obviously, I know how to ride a bike and I knew how to run. I still had to figure out how to do it for long distances. But the swim part, I could swim enough to where I wasn't going to drown, but I wasn't nowhere near able to swim 2.4 miles. So the swim was the hardest part. In the beginning, I went 3 and 4 days a week. Now I'm doing 2 days a week. But in the beginning, I couldn't swim 5 feet without having to stop, and I couldn't figure out the breath exercise. It was a nightmare. And so I broke the Ironman down into the first thing is a sprint triathlon, which is a couple 100 yards swim, 12-mile bike, and 3-mile run. So I trained for about 3 months before I even started. That was my first event I did. So I was going 4 days a week, and 300 yards on a swim is roughly, most swimming pools are 25 meters there and 25 back. So it's six laps in the pool. Literally, I could not do a quarter of a lap without stopping. And this went on for 2 or 3 weeks. And it was the most frustrating thing. I was watching every YouTube video on the planet, reading anything I could find on it. And I just could not get the breathing part down. And then the week of that sprint triathlon, still going to the pool 4 days a week, I wasn't going to stop. I just kept being consistent, kept doing the breathing exercises, just kept going and going. And something clicked that week of. I was able to go at least one length to the pool. Still only 25 meters, but I was able to do that. So on that sprint triathlon, it was only 300 meters, an indoor pool, a lap pool. And so I was able to muster through that. It took me, I think 11 or 12 minutes to do 6 laps in the pool, which is really, really slow. But I was able to finish that. Had some support. Had one of my daughters went with me, and was able to do the swim. Did the 12 miles on the bike and got through the 3-mile run. And then from there, the next one was an Olympic triathlon, which was in Austin. And that was 1,500 yards, which was quite a big jump. That was almost a mile. And then 26-mile bike and 6.1-mile run. And that was about 6 months into the training. And did that. And then from there was a half Ironman in Florida that did. Of course, that's a half Ironman, so it's 1.2-mile swim, 56-mile bike, and 13.1-mile run. And that one was good. I figured if I could do the half, then that would kind of put me on pace to make sure I can do the full. And what happened with that is because of weather conditions, I wasn't able to do the swim. They canceled the swim. So I did the bike and then the run. About 3/4 of the way through, I think mile 9 or so, had a huge lightning going through the process. Yeah, that's how it all started, and in 9 weeks we're gonna see how it finishes.
Yeah, if you I don't know if you're gonna have water on you. It is nice to take them and then take like a couple sips of water right afterwards.
So what I plan on doing is on the Ironman, it's every hour there's every mile there's a aid station, a water station. So it's like here, I like to just run all the way around and do a loop, but I just go a half a mile and then come back here. That way it's a mile. Yeah. And then I have some water and the same thing. So I just go. Nice. What sucks when you're doing 10 miles, like at the house, I'm going a half mile here, half mile back and forth.
You gotta get one of these things, little flasks that you carry. Mm-hmm. They're super helpful.
You hold it or what?
Yeah, you just hold it because it's like here. So it's kind of easy. Yeah. And what we'll do if it's really hot out is we'll fill them up, we'll put them in the freezer, and then they're frozen, and obviously it like melts fast. Yeah, but then it's like it's ice cold water, and it's like
that's refreshing.
Nice to hold something frozen. But cool. I pulled up, you couldn't even see the clubhouse.
Yeah, it's weird, man. It gets, and then like about I don't know, 6:30 you start, it lights up pretty fast. But the sun don't actually come up till quite a bit. As I'm going through this training, I knew it would be hard, obviously, but when you never been through hard, you don't know what the relatively hard. It's all relative to what you've done previously. So I had no idea the magnitude of the hard. And there's the internal dialogue and the voices and the thoughts that come to mind whenever. And something I did early on, when you're doing an Ironman, the practical side of it, you can't have headphones or earphones or anything on. You can't be playing music or anything like that. Obviously, for safety reasons, you're riding 112 miles and running 26 miles. They want to make sure you're paying attention to your surroundings. And so I want to make sure that I was ready for it. So I wanted to train like I'm going to do the race. So I don't listen to any music. I don't do anything. So I'm literally in my head every minute that I'm training. So as I started doing some of these long bikes and 6-mile runs, 9-mile runs, 12-mile runs, you're in your head for literally hours, and I did not realize the depth of, or how powerful that internal voice is, both positive and negative. And there's a story, here's the old Indian wise tale, I think it was, and it said every morning you have two voices in your head, one telling you can't do it. This is Stuart Lynn's version, not the true version, but still how I'm paraphrasing, but it was essentially you got two voices, one inside of you telling you can't do this, you're a loser, you're a failure, all those negative things, and the other voices inside you. Sometimes that voice seems a little bit smaller, but it's on the other side saying, yes, you can do it. What if you do it? What are all those things? And those two things are fighting, and each day one of them wins, and so it's your choice which one of those voices you're going to listen to. So when you're inside your head for hours and hours, those voices are magnified. And in the beginning, it seemed like there was more of the negative voice than the positive voice. And I remember one of the first few weeks I was running and wasn't going very far at all, but I was probably doing more walking than running. But I was getting really tired. I was going around a curve not too far from my house, and I was wanting to quit, and I was hearing this, why are you doing this? You're not even close to getting to 140 miles, which is the total bike, swim, and run in the Ironman. And I had all these negative things. And again, in the beginning, one of the reasons I did this because I wanted to grieve. My dad passed it, and I wasn't thinking about it at the time or anything, but I was just hearing all these negative voices, all these things. And I was going around the curve, and as clear as it can be, I heard my dad say, "I'm proud of you." And that was literally what got me through that quick little run, but then that's something I was able to build on. So, I mean, that was early on in our, I think we're 9 months in, so it was early on in the training. And so I just that was a small little win, we'll call it. And so I kind of took that and built on it. And, you know, now the bike rides are 4.5 hours. The runs are 2.5, 3 hours. And so each time that negative, that voice, that little pesky, squeaky little grunt, we'll call it, that's telling you all those things, it still speaks to me. It still says, you're 9 weeks in, you've done all this training, and now you're over here documenting, you're talking about it, and you got people that are going to go support you, and so it's still there. And it happens in our everyday life, whether you're in business trying to do that next big thing, or trying to increase your relationship with your spouse, or be a better father or mother. The voices are always still there, but the one thing that this Ironman training has taught me is that there's the other side of that voice that's always trying to trump that, always trying to be bigger than that. And I think it's natural for us to give more weight and give that negative voice way more credit than it needs, or way more space in our head, way more real estate inside of us. And that champion voice, that one that's, if you believe you're designed by a creator, then, and I'll just call it God because that's what makes the most sense to me. If there's a God that created you and wants the very best for you, why in the world are you letting some pesky little voice tell you that you can't do something whenever you were designed for something great? And so that's one of the revelations I've got with all this training, is that it's alright to have that negative voice. It's alright to have that. We're going to all face that in every walk of our life, but just always remember that there's another voice that's much louder, that has way more potential, that truly believes in you. And yeah, just let that voice trump the negative voice.